After a family member has been diagnosed with dementia, I get asked a lot, what are the next steps? And I think the most important thing is to realize is you're not alone, that it really does take a village to address your loved one's needs and the concerns. We work very closely with the Alzheimer's Association. They're considered the national experts. They have a 24-hour hotline. That number is 1-800-272-3900. You can also go to alzheimers.org for a list of the 10 myths or 10 questions about Alzheimer's. And really that's a starting point. Once you're diagnosed from your physician, you have a conversation with him or her and understand what the next steps are from a medical standpoint, but the support is where it becomes very critical. A lot of senior living communities provide support groups that will help guide you along those steps with certified dementia practitioners that run those within communities. But the key really is to know that you're not alone. A lot of questions come up regarding the stages of dementia. There's a lot of different models out there, but I can sum it up in 3 stages: the early stage of dementia, the middle stage of dementia, and then the late stage of dementia. In the early stage, we typically see that time period on average lasts about 2 years. And then from the middle stage, as the disease progresses, that can be anywhere from 2 to 4 years. And then late stages dementia typically can be 2 years or greater. So, again, it's important not to get caught up in the stages, but to understand where your loved one is and how you're going to best meet their needs in their current circumstance, and just focus on the immediate. This is a tough one, but again, I want to stress the importance of being present and enhancing your communication. Realize that you have to sometimes speak slower, listen longer, maintain eye contact with them, try to avoid any kind of sudden movements, but just really slow down the communication process with them and be patient. Exercise is also a very important aspect. Try and structure sleep routines as much as possible, and then really trying to have structured calendars and what you're going to do on a day-to-day basis. The more that you have your day structured and your focus on communication and exercise and these routines of routine bedtimes, it will make your life hopefully a lot easier. Really it's understanding what stage of dementia you're in and what the needs are. But certainly 24-hour caregiver is a possibility at home when you have a loved one with dementia. Also, you have assisted living communities, depending on how severe the dementia is, whether they need to be in a secure environment. But some folks with mild to moderate dementia reside well and do well in assisted living communities. If you need more of a secure environment, and it's a moderate to late stage, beginning late stage dementia, then you can go into a secure memory care neighborhood, typically under the assisted living umbrella. As folks progress and become more bedbound, if that happens, they can go into a skilled nursing care environment. It's also secure. And then at the very end stage of the disease process is just like any other illness is hospice care, which could be very helpful in providing that transition. For Alzheimer's dementia, which is the most prevalent type of dementia, for the first time we have new drugs that are available on the market and have done very well successfully in the trial stage. So there's folks that do qualify in the early onset dementia, Alzheimer's category of dementia. Certainly you have to work with your physician and your healthcare partner in determining whether you qualify for those type of treatments. But it's the first treatment that really targets the plaques that are significant in the brain that affect us in terms of the disease. And it's one of the hallmarks of Alzheimer's dementia. There are, Medicare and Medicaid do cover it up to a certain point. There are several other long-term care insurance policies that may also, provide treatment. Outside of that specific type of treatment for Alzheimer's disease, for other types of dementia, there's medications that were developed to treat the symptoms, not necessarily the underlying disease. And there's been some mixed results in how those medications work with somebody. Again, you really want to work with your healthcare practitioner and determine, what's a suitable medication. But typically those types of medications are covered under insurance. I was a licensed clinical social worker when I began my career, and I was actually, I was very excited to be a clinical social worker and provide service to the chronically mentally ill. It's an interesting story how I got into senior living. I was actually adopted by my grandparents, and my grandparents gave me such an amazing quality of life and gave me so many opportunities that I wouldn't otherwise have had. And my parents got sick, and I was living in Baltimore, Maryland at the time, and I moved back to Pennsylvania, where I'm originally from, so I could try and care for my parents. And my parents were deteriorating, and I switched careers and got into senior living with the hopes of being able to care for my parents. And my mom, like so many seniors, did not want to enter into my assisted living community and mismanaged her medications. And she ended up having a stroke. And after her stroke, she developed vascular dementia, and things were very, very difficult for her. And for me, it was a time when I didn't have, even though I was in senior living, I was new to it, and I didn't have the resources of the Alzheimer's Association that I was aware of or connected to. It was really challenging for me. And, I ended up losing my mom. She contracted acquired hospital infection and passed away. But my dad moved into senior living, and he had some forms of vascular dementia. But it was developing slowly, and we got him very much engaged in a lot of activities, and he became an ambassador and lived a very long life in senior living, and was very glad to be a part of that. As I developed my career now, I've just am reinvigorated with, really working closely with those affected with dementia and Alzheimer's disease. I currently sit on the Alzheimer's the Connecticut board of the Alzheimer's Association, very active in trying to get the message out there, provide research and information to those that it could benefit, because I really believe that there is so much information and so many resources that are available to you and your loved ones that I missed out on when my mom was going through it. And I didn't get the support necessarily that I needed to really navigate that. And there was a lot of grief that went along with that. But I'm very happy now to share my message, to be an advocate for a cure essentially for Alzheimer's and dementia related illness. And we're ever so close. And it's so important that you educate yourself, you educate your family members, and you take control over the things that you can control, and you'll be in a better off place.